It's so nice. I'm coming back here, I'll tell you what. People are so nice here.
One thing I absolutely love about American men is the confidence that American men have.
And I think it really is the opposite. I think Americans are really genuine.
I feel like the American confidence gets a lot of criticism, but it's something that I've really appreciated as a foreigner.
One of the things I really love about Americans is how confident they are, and it seems to be something that's ingrained in Americans from a really young age.
They're so encouraging. They're like, I am so proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like, how amazing is it that you left?
In children and how they are typically more confident.
The reactions people shared were not over the top at all. What these European travellers experienced completely reshaped the way they viewed America. Many of them arrived expecting nothing more than familiar stereotypes. A country surrounded by endless hype. Instead, they discovered everyday convenience, enormous open spaces, welcoming strangers, and a culture that naturally encourages people to think on a much bigger scale. Before long, the confidence Americans showed no longer felt like arrogance. It actually started to make perfect sense. The greatest surprise was not the towering skyscrapers or the endless highways. It was seeing how comfortable Americans were with chasing new opportunities, speaking their minds, and aiming for bigger dreams without worrying about being judged. For many of these visitors, that way of thinking was unlike anything they had expected before arriving. By the time their trip came to an end, many realized that American confidence was never just about wealth or the country's massive size. It was rooted in a culture filled with optimism, ambition, and a genuine belief that dreaming bigger is always worth it. So with that in mind, let's dive right into it.
One thing Americans do insanely well and Europeans underestimate it. In the US, talking to strangers is normal. Small talk is part of the culture. People celebrate dreams, hype each other up and say, you got this, even if they hardly know you. That doesn't mean life is perfect here, but the default mindset is try, fail, try again. Someone will cheer for you.
So I'm a European that just got to New York City about a month ago, and I'm going to take you on a journey on all the things that I find interesting. This comment here, and I think that is so true. Like, Europeans have kind of this feel about Americans that whatever they say is maybe not as genuine, especially when it comes to something positive or like compliments or something like that. And I think it really is the opposite. I think Americans are really genuinely super nice people, and they're just a little bit misunderstood. And I think us Europeans can be quite stuck up about certain topics. I think, we can learn from that. Just be nice.
I've got to say, collectively, we owe the USA an apology. And when I say we, I mean the entire world. And that apology is needed purely because of how much judgment the world has thrown onto the US over the last few years. The American people are probably the most genuine, welcoming, humble people that I've ever met in my life. 100%, if you get the chance, go to the US and travel and see it for yourself. I promise you, you won't regret it.
I was just watching a post of a fellow Brit living in America, and he was talking about how he's noticed the difference in children and how they are typically more confident in America than they are in England. And it made me think, because I think literally every single other Brit I follow on here who lives in America, one thing that all of them will say is that people in general, not just kids, but adults, kids, but people in general are more confident here than they are in England. From a young age in England, we can typically be told to not show off, don't brag, be humble, don't toot your own horn. It can be seen as arrogant to talk about your achievements, or if you have a pay raise or a idea that you have that may go against the grain. Whereas in America, I think it's celebrated to talk about yourself in such a positive light. If you have an achievement, a stranger would celebrate with you. When you have positive motivation, this can help you with your confidence. This just isn't something that we're used to in England. I won't lie, when I first moved to America and people were this way with me, I kind of saw it as fake or not being genuine, but it really isn't. American people just love celebrating other people's wins and bigging each other up. I'm not saying this doesn't happen at all in England, but culturally speaking, it just isn't something that is common. Literally every single British person living in America, I've seen on TikTok, one thing they will all say is they've become a much more confident person since moving to America, and I honestly love that for us. So yeah, this is one of the many reasons many of us British people love living here.
So many of you reached out after my last video that I had to say this one more time. The media has been lying to you about America, and the World Cup just proved it. For years, European and Canadians have been fed the same narrative. America is dangerous. Americans are ignorant. the culture is shallow, the food will kill you, and people believed it. Why? Because they saw it on the news. They read it online. They never actually went. Then the World Cup came and millions of people who had never set foot in the US suddenly showed up. And you know what they found? Friendly people, incredible energy, stadiums that blew their minds, hospitality they didn't even expect. Video after video of Europeans and Canadians saying, I had no idea, I was completely wrong, this is nothing like what I was told. And that's exactly the problem. The media doesn't profit from you having a good experience. It profits from fear, division, outrage. A Canadian family having the time of their life in Texas doesn't get clicks, you know? A crime story does. So that's all you ever see. That's all you ever hear. And slowly, without even realizing it, your entire worldwide view gets shaped by people who want you to be afraid. And look, in my opinion, the World Cup didn't just bring football to America. It accidentally broke the most powerful propaganda machine in the world, because people finally went and saw it for themselves. So stop letting a screen decide what you think about a place. Go experience it, because I promise you the truth is always different from what they're selling you. Always.
One of the things I really love about Americans is how confident they are, and it seems to be something that's ingrained in Americans from a really young age. So when we moved to America last year, me and my husband and the 3 children were all quite reserved. We're quite quiet people. We're shy, we're introverted, apart from being around each other. But since coming over here and being around people that are just so confident, it's really obvious how different we've been raised to just be quiet, don't show off, don't be too loud, don't talk about yourself, be wary approaching people. But I've really noticed a change in my 3 children. So they are attending a school and they have lessons in being confident and presenting. So even she's now 5, but even my 4-year-old, when she started transitional kindergarten, they had her on a weekly basis, like presenting to the class, saying, hi, this is my name, this is what I'm going to talk about. And they get graded on how loud they speak, how clearly they speak, what they can improve on. And I guess it's kind of like show and tell that we had in the UK, but that kind of fizzled out. And I remember it being optional as well. This is being in an American school, they really are expected to do this. And it's also when you go to like children's playgrounds and parks, a lot of the children will come up to my children and be like, hey, my name's so and so, would you like to play with me? And my kids at first were a bit like, oh, and really nervous and shy and didn't know what to say. But now they're like, yeah, my name is so and so and let's play. But when we first moved out here, it was really weird. And now that's not the case. And I've really noticed that my 3 children are becoming more confident, and it's great to see them coming out of their shell. I don't think it's going to be something me and my husband will change, because we've had 40 years of being told and learning not to be confident, being reserved and quite quiet. And yeah, but I do like it. I think it's really good. I think it's great that the children are learning to be confident and to go up to other people and say, this is my name, this is what I do, to take up space and just be confident. I really like it.
One thing I absolutely love about American men, and no, it is not the fact that they call me ma'am, although that does make my heart palpitate through my chest, is the confidence that American men have. I don't know what it is, but the confidence of an American man is just a different level. The amount of men who just slide into my DMs, who are in the comment section saying, I will give you a green card if you literally just come to Vegas. They always have so much confidence. They're like, hell yeah, my southern lady, I'll be willing to take you down south. You don't know me. But yet, they will still have that confidence. They will still have that, get in my truck, Miss Ma'am. Well, shoot me down, sir, and I might. But I love a man with a bit of confidence, and one thing about American men is they sure know what they want. They sure do. They sure do. I don't know why everyone in my comment section has a southern accent to me, but that's exactly how y'all sound. But I just want to say, I love that American men have so much confidence. I don't know what it is, but they got it like that. They got it like that.
So last night we slept outside this garage in a place called Brownstown, Illinois. When I went in, the amazing man at the counter instantly said, "What the fuck is this all about?" Very confused, as most people are. And after very briefly explaining the story, he said, "Wait 1 second." He turned round and I had no idea what he was doing. And this man wrote a check on the spot, a check for $200. And on the check, he wrote 3 words: importance of humanity. He said, "That's not from me," and then pointed to the sky. I just want to say a massive thank you, because that is the nicest thing ever.
Think is really sad is how much Americans get hated on, especially by Europeans. Lived in America for a year now, and I actually think that Americans are the most happy, positive, like really nice people ever. Like, really funny because I live in New York and everyone is always like, oh my god, New Yorkers are so mean, people in New York are so mean. But I think like people in New York are just like maybe the least friendly of the Americans, but because they are still American, they are still like really nice people. Examples is when I walk down the street here sometimes, like especially if I'm like on the way to a night out, so many girls will stop me in the street and be like, girl, you look so good. Like I was walking to dinner the last day, some random girl shouted at me, yes girl, I love your strut. And I was like, oh my god, thank you, babe. Like one time I was walking back from the gym and this American girl stopped me and she was like, okay girl, I see you, you're in the gym. Like just so randomly all the time. At home, I don't think a random girl has ever complimented me in the street once. So I think the American culture is very uplifting and very positive. And whenever I talk to Americans, they're always asking me like, why did I move to America? What am I doing here? And whenever I tell them like why I moved, like what my goals are, they're so encouraging. They're like, I am so proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like, how amazing is it that you left and you moved here? Like, you're gonna have a great life. That's always the attitude that people have. It's very uplifting and very positive. And I think in Europe, a lot of people have a very negative attitude, especially towards other success. People like do not want you to be doing anything different. They don't want you to be going outside of the box. They want you to stay in the box that they made for you. Huge reason as to why a lot of Americans are very successful and a lot of like the richest people in the world are American is because the attitude here is just so different to anywhere else. It's really sad how much Americans get hated on, but actually it just makes sense because miserable people like just want other people to be miserable. Or another thing I notice is obviously because I'm Irish and I live in America, sometimes people will comment on my posts, oh my god, I could never live in America. Who wants to live in America? Why would you ever go there? I'm like, please don't come here. Like, we just don't need that negativity here. Like, we're keeping up the positive vibes. Crazy the disdain that people have towards Americans. Also, like, so many of my friends in college were American. And they're still like my best friends to this day, and I made like so many new American friends since I moved to New York. And older as well, I've realized now, like looking back, I was honest to god conditioned into hating Americans. Like when I used to work in a restaurant in Ireland, when Americans would come in, everyone would be like, ugh, Americans. And now looking back on it, like, you know, they were always the nicest people. They always tipped extremely well. Like, they always asked, like, what I was doing, very friendly. So, yeah, I feel like now I was, like, tricked into hating them. Like, it was propaganda. I was brainwashed into hating Americans from a young age. And the story, I think, is if you're a European who hates Americans, I invite you to examine your bias against them and really look into, like, why you hate them. Do you hate them for a good reason, or do you hate them because you were brainwashed into hating them?
Let's talk about how actually living in the US raised my self-esteem as an European. So I'm an Italian girl. I was born and raised in Milan. That's why I was like, I'm sorry if I say some words in English wrong, but you know, English is not my first language. Anyway, one of the first things that happens to me when I arrived here in the US, I was in Walmart and this woman approached me and just gave me a straight compliment. She just said to me like, oh, I love your hair and I love your skirt. Where'd you get it? And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I really didn't expect that, because this is something that in my country would never happen. There is no way, like, men that approach you and tells you, oh, you look nice, or you look hot. Yeah, that happened all the time. But, I mean, we know why. Okay.
We just boarded the plane from Texas, America. And the air hostess just told my boyfriend he's cute. Literally stopped him.
I think it was like a kid. She was just like, it's like cute.
What did she say? You're cute.
Yeah, I like a rabbit's cute.
Americans are wild.
Really hope all of our new European friends, when they go back home to their home countries, tell all their friends, no, Americans really are just that friendly. They really are just that nice and that welcoming, and it's not fake. They mean it. Because I've just watched several videos, but one in particular of a man being beside himself with glee because he is in America, and an American walked by him and told him good morning. He was like, I've never experienced anything like this. Americans are so nice. Yeah, we are. We've tried to tell you that, and everybody just said, no, you guys are fake. You don't mean it. I'm not going to tell anybody to have a good day if I don't mean it. Like, am I going to lose sleep if you have a bad day? No. But I wish you well. I want good things for you. To act like having a little chat with the barista is an act is crazy to me. I would feel rude and frankly a little awkward if I wasn't like, how's your day going? Can you believe this wet? Like, I would feel like an asshole if I was just like, give me a latte. And that was the end of the interaction. Sometimes when I mobile order at Dunkin', I pull up and they'll go, hey, how are you? And I just tell them my name. And then I'm always like, you rude ass. She said, how are you? And if I catch myself, I apologize and I go, you know what? That was a shitty thing for me to do. I'm so sorry. How are you? And I don't know what it is about the American spirit that we are so generous in that way and we are so welcoming to people. We just have a good nature, I feel like, overall. All right, this is speaking in generalities, but I just think about when I go to UT games and rival fans will be in town. Now, is there a little bit of shit talk? Of course. But in general, the vibe is hope you have a great time. I've been to rival fan stadiums. Same thing. There is a little good-natured ribbing, but ultimately they're like, so glad you guys are here. Hope you enjoy it. Go eat here. Go see this. Have a safe trip home. We like people. And it's starting to occur to me that that's not a universal experience.
The fact that a girl ups you and tells you, oh, you look gorgeous. You look very nice. Love your skirt. I love your dress. This never happened. Okay? Never. It never happened to me. I asked my boyfriend, I was like, is this normal? And he said to me, like, yes, that's pretty normal. That's happened all the time. Like, if we like something, we just stop and tell that person that we like her shoes or his shirt, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually like...
I feel like the American confidence gets a lot of criticism, but it's something that I've really appreciated as a foreigner. We were literally just walking Venice Beach and Joe sneezes and some guy comes up and he's like, oh, bless you. And then as we're walking along the beach, this lady comes up to me and she approaches me in such a like familiar, friendly way that I genuinely thought she was talking to someone else. And she said like, oh my God, I love your shirt. And by the time she'd kind of walked off, I kind of realized, oh shit, she was talking to me. And I turned around and quickly said thank you. But it was just the way she approached me. It was so easy. And it was like she was talking to a friend of hers, which is like why I was so confused.
I'm a Brit living in America, and I just wanted to comment on how good the American hospitality has been. So we're currently on a road trip right now, watching all of the England World Cup games. So by the Mississippi River right now. Try not to get too close, don't want to get bit by a croc. But yeah, I've had hundreds of DMs, thousands of messages and comments on my videos. It's people giving us recommendations, advice. We've had invitations to have barbecues with people's families, people offering to fill our cars up with petrol for the road trip, local businesses offering, you know, come to ours, have a look around, we'll show you what we do. People messaging to say if you need anything, let us know. So it's been pretty well overwhelming, to be honest, but really appreciated. So we're on our way into Nashville right now. We're going to be there for the weekend, and then after that we're heading over to Boston for the second England game, and then New York for the third England game as well. So I'm going to keep making these videos. Please keep putting your recommendations in and keep the messages coming as well. We are trying to tick a lot of them off that you've been putting in, and yeah, follow along for the journey.
This is generally one of my favorite things about America. Look at this. They just have American flags everywhere. I'm just casually walking on the mall and there's this giant American flag. Here's another one. They even have a giant one here. I love this. I love Americans for that. They have pride in their country and they have pride in their flag. If this was the UK, the flag would get torn down and you'd be branded for hate or something. Anyway.
So nice. And this is something that boosts my confidence so much. Same things about my body confidence. Okay, in Italy, a lot of people saying that we have a very body shaming mentality, and as an Italian,
On a rodeo later.
You've done a rodeo right now.
So nice.
Feeling like a proper cowboy.
Dallas is amazing. Unbelievable. It's so nice. I'm coming back here. I'll tell you what. People are so nice here. So positive. Don't know what it is. They're just so they're just enjoying life. It's amazing.
They're very friendly.
Yeah, so friendly.
Let me tell you a story that shows a lot the differences between European, especially Eastern European mentality and American mentality. We've been a few days ago with my husband and this fancy restaurant. We were celebrating our anniversary, and next to our table there was this girl. And this kind of restaurant that you don't go just for it, you know, it just you go there to celebrate something. And she was all by herself. She was pretty nice dressed up, all by herself, and like nobody around. And at one point she started like to joyfully share with everyone that it's her birthday and she's celebrating here her birthday, and she was taking picture of herself and like sharing with everybody her joy. I mean, like an Eastern European, if I were on by myself on my birthday, I would probably just stay home or would go to like less fancy restaurant and would just, I don't know, be at the bar pretending that I'm waiting for someone. I don't know, I would be like ashamed kind of. And she was not. She was absolutely not. And at one point I was like, wait a minute, this girl wanted to go to a fancy restaurant and she went. Probably she suggested it to her friends, but they couldn't make it or they didn't want to come here with her. And she decided that, what the heck, I want to go to a fancy restaurant on my own, and I have sufficiently of self-confidence to go there on my own, to be comfortable around other people's and not giving any damn about their opinion. And definitely she would not give a damn about my opinion. And I was so admirative of her after all. And I was like, I would never see something like this in France or in Russia, where I come from. People would just not go to the restaurants on their own because it would be considered as lame and people would be judging them. And here it's fine. And by the way, what I noticed that no one were like judging her or looking at her strangely or like whispering about her. People were occupied on their own plates, talking with their own partners or friends. And it was actually a great night for everyone. So let me know what you think about it and follow for more.
that's true. You need to be very skinny, okay, for being considered good looking, okay? Because my body, it's considered like fat in Italy, okay? Instead here, everyone like loves my body. All these things make me feel like so good. And this is something that I wish in my country will be implemented. But I think it never will. I recognize that by myself. Like, I will never stop a girl and say, oh, I love your dress or I love your hair. I will look at her and I will think that I like it, but I will never tell her. Probably this is because we've been raised to have a lot of competition with other girls. I saw many American women on this app that are currently in Italy complaining about this. And unfortunately, this is true. And one of the things that I love the most of being here is this, the fact that actually I can see girl supporting other girl. This is just something that I really love about this country.